I teach computer science, and now the world around me has changed so dramatically. It is all about artificial intelligence and where we are heading in the world today. And what I see are generations of split directions where those who are able to work with and build with AI are impacting thousands, millions of people. And those who are not doing anything with AI are effectively being controlled by them. And the program that I launched at UCL, the Industry Exchange Network, was my first task, my first job at UCL. It was to remove fiction from syllabus. Why study with the theory classes and have zero impact in the world when you can go out in the world and find problems? There are problems big and small, and students have to publish their work to be seen. So what we found at the very beginning of our journey was that there were charities, there were humanitarian needs for engagement to get technologies in and to upscale and lift them out of the darkness of where they were at with paper-based records and unequal measures of communications. So we have around 400 undergraduates at UCL, all working on systems. In total, 900 across the master's courses. And across the United Kingdom, over 20,000 students are engaging on what we call IXN, Industry Exchange Network projects. Now, every university that has these taught classes, they have the ability to create projects for themselves. But if they open the doors for all communities, all faiths, and say, what are your needs? What do we need to do for civilization? You will see that there are a replenishing supply of students every year that need to qualify in their degrees to get to where they are. So we're going to talk about AI in the Muslim community, but this is for all communities as well. This is to understand the realms at which engineering talent, AI engineers, as they're now titled, can come in groups in all communities and effectively oversee the upskilling and upgrades of where your communities need to be. Why community organizations should embrace artificial intelligence. We have to start with a dua. Rabbi zidni ilma. My Lord, increase me in knowledge. This matters to us so greatly because if we settled for where we are at, if we are not pushing our young to learn and to grow, we will be left behind. And it is imperative that we see all possible avenues and opportunities for our young. This slide I prepared with ChatGPT. It was essentially just an observance of where we are today since the Earth's formation 4.6 billion years ago. In the slightest fraction of time, we have our faith, we have our people, and we have these wonderful things that are helping us, but also damaging us. And if you look closely towards the very end of the timeline, you'll see the birth of AI was only in the last 50 odd years. And we are just a few years away from artificial general intelligence, machines that think for themselves, they make decisions on their own. And then after that, 10 to 20 years from that, it is predicted that there will be artificial superintelligence. And this is what all these major tech firms are all working towards. They're spending billions upon billions of dollars to build these systems. And so it is really important to understand in the compression of time what they call the singularity and what we believe in our faith. They are going to meet at some point, and they are going to have models by which we need to bring in our measures for our faith-driven life. So what happens if we do nothing? If you take a good look at these images were also AI generated, but they are not unfamiliar. Children coming home from school with their heads down, they're on their phones and they're happy. They're subscribers. They're paying rent to services. They are taking in information at phenomenal speeds. The trajectory curve of their knowledge and their memory is diminishing rapidly. In the next 20 years, what will ADHD be like for the population, consuming short videos as opposed to larger, longer talks, etc.? And what are they communicating on? What are they doing with those communications? Some of them, they're just talking to each other. Some of them, they may be backbiting each other. Some of them, they may be doing realms of things that are completely unwatched and unevaluated. And then at the dining room table, us as families, we don't put our phones away. People are just carrying on in their own individual lifetime. They have their own world absorbing them. I think the happiest person in that photograph in the center is a child. He's just focusing on his food. But what you can see with the elderly is that they are definitely on the wrong side of the divide. They don't have access to services. They can't do things for themselves. They need help. They need us. Because inshallah, we will all get old. We will all want care. And we will all need that help to keep going until our very last moments to read, to learn, to absorb knowledge and information. In a recent webinar, I heard from Dr. Sadiq Hamid, I think you're in the audience somewhere, and there was a paper that was there where they showed that on TikTok, 42 hours per month users were using TikTok. That's an incredible amount of time spent just watching and doom scrolling through videos. So we do have to understand that the first leverage of community care is not just services and delivering services, but understanding the realms of which your users, your community are actually involved in and what you can do to make a difference. So, strictly speaking, as a tutor and a lecturer, professor of computer science, these are 4 definitions that we can explain where we are currently at today's realms of AI access. All of you who have a smartphone, you are indirect AI users. You are using it when you search on Google, you are using it in any of your mainstream apps. Behind the scenes, data and logic is mapping exactly what they want to find from you and building a model about you. The AI is learning from you. If you are a direct AI user, that means you willingly, knowingly download an AI app and you're starting to use it. As many of you will see later today, it's effective, it's opportunistic, it's efficient, and it saves time. Time that is eroding away from our existence. You get to do more in less time. But then the latter 2, for me personally, these are the most important things for the communities, for the future, and where we are all heading. Those of us that are capable of building with AI, we're able to use what we call off-the-shelf AI components and embed it in our businesses, in our systems, in our structures for how we conduct our realm of work and life. The so-called Gen AI field is growing phenomenally with a myriad of apps. And you're going to see later today in the sessions, there are really great tools that communities can use for Gen AI. Myself and my students at UCL have been primarily focused on machine learning, and I'll show a demo of that later. But these things also, they can be used for good and bad, as you'll hear from Sister Ibtihal later today. So there are realms of building with AI that we already have access to, but one dimension that communities are missing is quite simply find out who in your communities are capable of building with AI and start working with them. The last one, developing AI, I'm absolutely honored and, with all trust in my heart, Abid represents the first of a generation of students who are building, developing AI and customizing it, fine-tuning it, securing it, making it privacy safe, enabling for generations to come. You would effectively call it halalifying. And I think that we need more of that. So I will mention towards the end of my talk the need for maths and computer science and economics and law and how those things will come to play with developing new AI. But you do not need to be mainstream subscribers of the major tech companies to develop AI. You need to be learned and to be able to access what is out there. So This is a very broad slide on how AI can help local communities. In actual fact, I asked 3 different AI agents to tell me what they could do for Muslim communities. And this is what it came up with. The teaching of prompt generation to those who have no idea how to use AI, how to get started. Ask a question. When you first started with search engine and Google, etc., you needed to learn how to ask the right questions. And your use of the English language, construct how you construct these things, they matter greatly for this. But then context generation, how you would build upon the realm of asking the right question, it's not how do I have a recipe for a cake, but rather what do I have in the cupboards? What can I make use of? And in the time that I have, how can I make that type of cake? But for all of the other factors shown here in the slides, you have got a lot of different aspects that communities can make use of. Environmental monitoring, local journalism, Instagrammers, social influencers, inclusive design, and economic development, thinking about how Islamic finance and how other realms of development can be using AI to bring in the best of the local communities. So in practice, what would you want to do? Well, personalized practice, getting the ability to have your own personal tafsir or understanding your own spiritual enrichment, that's just one factor of apps and education and knowledge access. But health, personalized health and global impact, thinking about how you would share resources and preserve your culture, they are also strongly impactful with AI. In much more detail, you can think of these types of projects with regards to students coming on board to help local communities. If you know that there are prayer time notifications, you want to ask, I've traveled to this new town, what are the prayer times? It would be able to look up databases and find information through that. And virtual Islamic tutors might change the landscape of madrasas so that, at a time when it's convenient, you can have classes that are dynamically generated. Economic empowerment, for me, the most important one here is the job matching and entrepreneurship support that AI can actually help to create new companies. The first AI-driven companies are now being formed. And cultural awareness, looking at health assistance and elderly care, thinking about the education access. Well, we have a lot to do with regards to bias and Islamophobia. The much more wider scenes of global impact, they need us to look at disaster relief and how we can join forces together within communities. So the connectivity between communities and thinking about how they can best express their philanthropic realms of work. And then thinking about women first communities and local engagement teams, and just understanding there are kids in your communities that need to be brought to light. If you have a great imam who gives really wonderful talks, let the Instagrammers come forward and help push it out to materials to get that information out. But none of this is of any use if we don't validate and if we don't provide data. As I told Dr. Riza from Markfield, if you are not collecting the community's data, you can't understand what you have, and therefore an AI can't drive momentum without that insight. So the first job and duty is the collection of data and to understand the pinch points and bottlenecks. Yeah, you need input. Right, that's the short circuit joke. AI accuracy. We've all seen it. If you've tried AI, sometimes it doesn't come out the way you intend it. So you do need to have validation. And it's thanks to students like Arvid and others who are looking at methods by which they can fine tune and optimize AI. Hallucinations will drop and they are becoming more accurate, but it does need the support of communities to make that validation happen. So I want to hand over now to my student, Arvid, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about the Motion Input Project. Now on the video.
This is the Richard Cloudesley School in London.
Right, there we go, Sophia.
Although this is no ordinary lesson. Not only are these pupils getting to play video games during school time, they're also helping to test an exciting new suite of software, collectively known as Motion Input. Developed over 4 years by over 200 students at University College London, Motion Input allows anyone to control their computers using any part of their body they can move, such as eyes, individual limbs or facial gestures. Crucially, motion input doesn't need any additional specialised equipment.
All right, you ready, Safia?
Safia is using the eye gaze application to play different types of games using eye movements.
You're a better driver than I am.
That's the young ones suitably impressed. Over at UCL, the students working on motion input were keen for someone slightly less youthful to see how it works, using body point. First up, everyone's favourite block builder and basher, Minecraft.
So I'm just moving around here in Minecraft by using my right arm as a mouse and my left arm as kind of like a joystick. I think I've cracked it now. Oh, it's so cool.
Right. I'm Abid. I've been working with Dean for a few years now. What you saw was what we've been working at Motion Input. It originally started as a project in UCL. It's a piece of software that allows you to control your computer using just a standard webcam. You can use facial gestures, body movements, speech recognition. It lets you run a lot of things on your computer, and it's giving power to people who may have limited mobility or physical impairments, allowing them to use a computer again. It is local, it runs offline, it's lightweight, and doesn't require expensive hardware, which means it's accessible for a wider range of people. But this is where you guys can come in. We need people from the wider community, whether that be children, elders, people you know at the masjid, and especially people who may have physical impairments, because we need a lot more feedback. You can scan the QR codes available on the screen, where you can access the software, download it, try it out. And if you have any kind of feedback or any concerns even, please do reach out to us. We're really open to listening to you guys so that we can further improve our stuff. But stepping back a bit, while our tech is one example, or what we really want to highlight is how we build AI and who we build it for. As Muslims, we have a responsibility to think about technology through our lens, through our Islamic ethicals and principles. So rather than just adapting what's out there, we should be building things from the ground up with our principles in mind. That could include things for use cases like teaching tajweed or Quran lessons, but it also means that we need to put in place protective guidelines. And that is especially important when we're discussing things about our faith. We need to do things like validating outputs so that AI isn't hallucinating new information and so it doesn't say harmful things about our deen. And a big part of this is trust. We need to bring on board voices that we can trust and respect so that we can shape our framework. We need to make sure that communities feel confident and can trust our models. And there's also a cultural aspect to it. If we continue our reliance on pre-existing systems like ChatGPT, we're also invalidating a bias. What this means is that we're going to be getting information with information that isn't necessarily going to be respecting our beliefs or respecting our guidelines. We're investing financially into helping other systems grow their models. Every time we pay for a ChatGPT membership, we're just funding someone else's vision. But what we need to do is make sure that that vision includes us. So there are alternatives. We can build smaller offline models, and that's something that UCL is looking to do. So if you are looking to build or think about using AI and trying to build something that's a lot more in line with Islamic principles, then please reach out to us. We're looking for partnerships, and together we can create something that's innovative, but also grounded firmly in our ethics and principles.
I know I'm running very close to out of time. So the realization, how are we going to do this? First thing, we need budgets. Communities need to identify their venues where they have classrooms, they have abilities to host workshops. You need to invite out of your communities those who are able to develop software, those who are able to build, those who are in IT. You need teachers and trainers to come in and say, what do they want to build with the communities? Access to laptops and devices. Some of the things you might need subscription licenses, at least to begin with, until there are more offline AI capabilities available. Refreshments, and just think about estimated costs. And the partnerships, in order to do that, you need the faith groups, the local councils, your STEM and education teams from schools who want to work in collaboration with, but of course, philanthropic donors. But there is a call for action there, and that is to join in shaping ethical tech. So what is it that we each have to donate? We have to donate our time. Our time is the most precious thing that Allah has given to us. Our expertise, whatever we can share, what knowledge we can gain, and to create communities that have strategic planning. Those of us who are the best of planners, who see efficiencies and inefficiencies, those of us who can identify resources and see what sticks. Every community is different. But if you do know that you have to build towns and cities in the future in regions of the world that need it, how fast can you do it? What do you need to do it? How do you get infrastructure in place? All of these things are questions that you can answer with the right level of community access. And the youth of today, they want their jobs. They want to know what they can do to help. So that advocacy has to happen. Families want to support themselves, and the poor need a way out of poverty. So the orchestration of all of the above are there to actually bring everyone out of that line of poverty. Personally, as a tutor, as a professor, it is my job to tell you, you have to encourage your young to study. They have to be good at maths. They all have to learn maths. They all have to have aspects of engineering and sciences. English language is especially important with prompts and context generation. Law, understanding the fundamentals of what you can and can't do with the realms in which you're trying to act upon, and understanding all other views of this. You do need to think about how you can get projects together. And the basis of my UCL IXN program was to create projects with degree level students. Every year, students at the universities do need to have access to new projects. And so you should get to know your local universities. Right here is Birmingham City University and Aston University. I'm sure that they'll be very happy to hear from the communities here about things that are needed by the projects. Practice and publish what you learn. We are not that great at disseminating our works, so having visual forums and workshops. For those who write source code, there's GitHub repositories. They need to be highlighting what code bases that we're working on, and they need to be able to have a voice. So I'm hoping Dr. Wajid would be able to help us with a community voice that will advocate the best of our projects to the MCB and wider community. But the take-home message is, if you do not teach your communities to use AI, they will be left behind. But this is the start of a new generation. You are at the frontier. You have the greatest of opportunities to make the change now, to build with AI, to develop new AI. And younger generations are growing up with AI already, so they should become embedded and visible to the communities. Know what you have within your communities, identify the data of your communities so that you can enrich your capabilities, and check the AI results. It will get better in time, but it needs you. Some closing thoughts. We have to get started and teach how to use and how to build AI. Don't forget the building part, because without that, you will be just using others. Our community vision in the coming years is going to be dramatically different if and when AGI and ASI arrives. But in the meantime, I have every belief and faith in all of the communities. You can do great and wonderful things with your people. So inshallah, I hope that you do, and I hope that you bring upon the best for your ummah and for yourselves and for your legacy that you leave behind. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Professor.